Hello, everyone. We should be live. Well, I'm live. You guys aren't live yet. Let's sit and wait for a minute for YouTube to catch up because it is not showing up on my channel. There we go. Now it's there. All right. Cool. Hello, everyone. All right. So let's see. Who do we have in the house? While my dog makes strange noises over there. First up, Trash Man with his intro. Live from the Indigo Flag State, it's the libertarian that Brennan warned us about. The Nightmare on Dem Street, the reason for the Capitol lockdown season. And with that, here's Dolly. I feel like one of these days that stuff's gonna get the FBI showing up at my door or something like that. All right, so let's see. We have Matt Mosher. Of course, we have Trashman as he did the intro. We have Cap'n Mac 82. We have Kelly Karshner, Tada, Matt and Nemo, Iron Daisies, Mr. Jones, Chris Delarbar. I don't know. Ricky Hendricks, my name. Tristan Goodrich, Dan Hauser, Maxman 1602, Dave M, Stuart Ulseth, and thank you. Yes, the bangs are new today. I saw a movie like 3 weeks ago where I was like, hey, that girl has cute hair. I'm going to go do that. And it took me 3 weeks to get a hair appointment. And so that's what I did today. Daryl, chill out, buddy. What are you doing? He's like freaking out in the corner over there. Let's see. Tony is in David, Texas 1. Jim Morrison, full clip 69. BS in California. John Thomas. Jose Vigila. Robin Patty. Mr. Rover Pilot, Steve Violence, Two-Way Metalhead, Fine Ape 1393, Tim Allen, Ken O. Oh, yes, everyone, Vince DeBona wanted me to let you guys know that he's watching, but he can't be in the chat today. Sorry, my dog. Let's see. Mr. MRISDN 98R? I don't know how I would pronounce that. Robert Graham, John Morgan, Cowboy the Real Outdoorsman, my name, Ricky Hendricks. I think we already got my name. Taro, my dog is like pushing me in my chair right now. What are you doing, buddy? You need to chill out. Yeah, it's okay. I don't know what your deal is, but it's okay, buddy. Jonathan Peterson, Chuan No, Aaron Miller, Liberty Revolutionary, JD Smith, Squid Monkey. The whole gang is in, and my dog's making it very difficult for me to read the chat. Buddy, chill. Chill out. You know what? Here. Come here. Hey. You guys, Liberty Doggo in the house. Hi. Yeah. You okay, buddy? What's going on? I don't know. He was just making noises and like freaking out. So, all right, the dog is on the stream tonight, apparently. Trashman says that sooner or later the FBI shows up at everyone's house. I don't know about everyone, but it does freak me out. I've definitely heard tales of the FBI showing up at different YouTubers' homes. Conservative YouTubers' homes, which is pretty freaky, especially considering, well, I guess we're going to talk about this. I didn't have a whole lot planned for today, like schedule-wise, because I've been spending a lot of the week running around with trying to get all of the last of the mortgage things put together. Hopefully, next time I see you guys, next Friday, I will be a homeowner. But I did have a few things that I wanted to chat about. Lots of people getting canceled, of course, as always. But someone mentioned the FBI comes to everyone's house eventually. So we all know that there are red flag laws in, I don't even know how many states at this point, a good number of states at this point. Well, so there's a new bill that's being talked about where they would be adding federally, not just like red flag laws, but talking about blacklisting laws as well. So we'll pull this up here from AmmoLand. Let me make sure that I'm on the right mic. I am. Okay. All right. Oh, people are asking how was the CCW class? It was I mean, it was stuff that I already knew. So I had, that's right. So, okay. So Monday I worked and was on the computer from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then Tuesday was the one sunny day. So after I had taken care of some mortgage things, I went and played some disc golf at a monster course. Wednesday, I had my concealed weapons permit class where I got a 50 out of 50 in the shooting portion. And the way they do it, there's like 6 or 7 hours of class time instruction and a written exam and a shooting exam. The written exam, you only have to get 70%. I'm still mad about it. I got only a 98 on the written exam, and only because they ask you the 4 fundamental rules of gun safety. And for one of them, I wrote that you keep your finger off the trigger until you have made the conscious decision to shoot. And they wanted it to say that you keep your finger out of the trigger guard. And because I said off the trigger as opposed to out of the trigger guard, it got marked wrong. And I only got a 98. That is some bullshit right there. But I still passed the test, did all my fingerprinting, everything got set in. I actually really liked the instructor, and he does some other classes, home defense, self-defense, church defense, all the defenses. I think he also does like rifle marksmanship and some other things. So I might actually sign up for some of his other classes and get some other training in that stuff. He's also doing a little like $5 class. It's only $5 and it's like a 4-hour class, and it's through the NRA, which I have mixed feelings about, but it's through like the Don't Be a Victim program or something, and it's supposed to teach people different situational awareness things and different defense tactics. And he gave a couple of examples, and there were things that I hadn't really thought of. Things like, you know, in the women's classes, he'll tell them like, okay, if your car breaks down somewhere on the side of the road, get in the passenger seat so that if someone shady, comes up to the car. And carjackings are kind of a thing here. There's not so much violent crime, but there's a lot of like property crime and carjackings here, at least compared to where I had lived in Massachusetts. So carjacking is a thing that people need to be aware of, apparently. Anyways, and so one of the things that he said is if you are a woman and your car breaks down while you're waiting for whoever, AAA, whatever, to come get you, sit in the passenger seat. And if a creeper comes up to the car, just be like, oh, yeah, my husband went with the cops and they'll be back in a couple minutes. And, things like that, or, how to situate yourself defensively if you're like alone in a parking lot at night and there's someone creepy there or something. So I don't know. I might do it. It seems like it would be interesting. And like worst case scenario, I waste 4 hours of time, for $5. That's not bad. And let's see. Super chats are coming in already. John Thomas says, we lose Daisy to her cats at least once per stream. So why not you and your dog? He's usually pretty quiet over there, but I don't know. He was just like all grunty and weird. Matthew Malloy says, for the dog. There's definitely been some time. So I have, he has 2 dog beds, one in the living room and one in here. And there's definitely been more than one occasion that he has ruined to take on a video because all of a sudden he just starts like sighing really dramatically in the corner and you can definitely hear it. Oh, and Mandy, thank you, Mandy, for the compliment. She says that my hair looks great. My friend Mandy. Joe Marisol says, do you know anything about metacognition, and can you tell us about it a little bit? I would have to metacognition. I know that that's something that I learned about, but I can't remember quite what it is off the top of my head. I'd have to look into that, but let's jump into this article real quick. So this is out of this is coming from AmmoLand, which is actually a really great Second Amendment news source. Besides Jared is number one, and I would say AmmoLand is probably number two. AmmoLand or The Truth About Guns. But so this is coming out of AmmoLand. And so it turns out that, excuse me, I stuffed my face with my dinner in the 10 minutes before I came on. So this is Senator Marco Rubio has introduced a bill that would suspend gun rights of anyone who has ever been investigated for domestic terrorism, not convicted, not even charged, just investigated. So right off the bat, this would probably take away Second Amendment rights from anyone who was present in DC during the riot or at the Trump rally, or I don't know, mention support for it, anything. There are so many people. I don't even know what the number of cases are up to right now. But it was over 150. Pretty sure the last time I looked, between state and federal cases relating to the Capitol riots. And I mean, you have people that were making Instagram accounts and Twitter accounts and Facebook accounts where they were dissecting video for the day and posting things frame by frame and trying to get the rest of the world to help identify people in that. And then they were tagging people, tagging the FBI in it, or sending that information to the FBI or to local police hotlines and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, the FBI has who knows how many names that they're looking at. And now there's talk of legislation for anyone who's ever been investigated getting their rights taken away. And we'll check out the other article there. Actually, we'll go to the direct source. I don't know what this source is, but this is what AmmoLand quoted. So, Republican lawmaker Marco Rubio has reintroduced, because this is a bill that was originally introduced in 2016, legislation that seeks to suspend the Second Amendment rights of any person who has been investigated for, quote, terrorism-related offenses within 10 years of attempting a gun purchase. The Senate bill, named the Terror Intelligence Improvement Act, was re-entered last week in hopes of exploiting the hysteria around the January 6th Capitol protests. The law intends to violate the civil liberties of American citizens who are not charged or convicted of a crime if somebody is deemed politically dangerous. If passed, the law will grant the FBI and DNI the authority to draw up lists of U.S. citizens arbitrarily labeled, quote, domestic terrorists and flag them during background checks. Those placed on the new watch list could be registered based solely on suspicion, even if an investigation fails to find any evidence of criminal or terrorist wrongdoing. Federal courts that have examined the FBI's various terrorist watch lists, uncovered that the Bureau regularly places law-abiding citizens on them because they don't like who they are or their political views, which is getting more and more pertinent these days. While Rubio's bill does provide optional redress for those targeted to obtain counsel and fight their designation, it would require individuals not charged or convicted of a crime to have to spend enormous amounts of money and time and gamble on getting a judge that upholds the Constitution just so they can exercise their gun rights. And I would imagine that it would be similar to red flag law hits. in that with the red flag laws, there's only one state in the entire country that will give you a court-appointed attorney if you can't afford one, and that is, I believe, Colorado. All other states, you get a red flag law hit, put against you. Sometimes they're legitimate, sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's just because someone doesn't like you. But either way, without any sort of hearing or court appearance or trial, you get your rights taken away. And it's always more difficult to restore a right after it's been taken away than it is to fight a charge in a fair trial. And so if you watch my video that I did on red flag laws, one of the things that I talk about in there is how difficult it is to overturn emergency risk protection order, red flags, things like that. It's next to impossible. Like something like 90% of them still end up going through. And I imagine that when they say, well, oh, there's redress for people who have been targeted, I would imagine it's going to be similar to red flag laws in that once the FBI has you on a list, it's probably really difficult to get off of said list. And consider, so the FBI is going to put these people on a list so that it pops up in the NICS system that they can't own any firearms. Well, okay. So it says for anyone who's been investigated, but even anyone who's under suspicion, right? Well, you have to consider, okay, so how many times have we heard about the government fucking up, number one? Number two, for example, in the Obama years, he sent the IRS after conservative groups and nonprofits and messed around with them. What's to stop a left administration like the Biden administration, or if something happens to Biden and Kamala takes the magic seat, can you just imagine? She would be having all kinds of alphabet boys targeting her political opponents and probably making crap up to get them on these lists because, I mean, look at her prosecution records and everything like that. It is certainly not above her. That is for sure. So the article continues, as ongoing challenges to comparatively weaker red flag law abuses show, challenging such decisions or even figuring out how they're made is like pulling teeth. The mixed record attorneys have had in combating the excesses of the Patriot Act since 2001 show that this mitigation option will largely be ignored by judges and those listed. While Muslim victims of federal surveillance and harassment power can sometimes count on the ACLU and others to defend their rights, said groups make it a point to refuse service to ordinary white people who have their civil liberties trampled. The law's threshold for being put on the list is low. Under Rubio's legislation, being investigated for domestic terrorism, a vaguely interpreted offense mainly defined by partisan journalists and NGOs, which potentially millions of non-leftist Americans could be subjected to today, would nullify your ability to purchase a firearm. And this is, of course, on the piggybacking on the information that came out that talked about how the FBI has been collecting bank records of people from Bank of America, and specifically the records of people who traveled or made purchases in Washington, D.C. on or around January 6th without a warrant. Pretty sure that's illegal, but the FBI is an alphabet agency, so they can do whatever the hell they want. A hotel worker who had attended the Trump rally near the Capitol but did not enter the building was investigated by the FBI, even though they had no probable cause to do so. The FBI would have the authority to put that person on the new list without any meaningful checks and balances. Absolutely ridiculous. And this guy somehow has an A+ rating with the NRA, despite being a huge advocate for red flag laws and introducing this bill. And he introduced this bill again previously in 2016. So that's just fancy and awesome. Jesse Sell, thank you for the super sticker. John Thomas says, if 6 months tops and it's 25th Amendment time, or he resigns. Yeah, I mean, I really don't imagine Biden being around for an incredibly long time, but that's just my opinion, I guess. That's my guess. And yes, John Smith Rubio still calls himself a Republican. Squid Monkey says, so anyone that currently or hopes to receive a security clearance, that's part of the background check process. Terrorism usually gets you excluded. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, that is an interesting note. I mean, the bill has to pass. I'm kind of afraid with the current administration and the people who are currently leading Congress, I'm pretty afraid of some of the things that could end up getting pushed through. And I'm pretty sure that Biden is at the point where he'll sign just about pretty much anything on his desk. I don't know if you guys heard, and this is really kind of freaky to me. So, in one of his executive orders that he signed, one of the climate executive orders, there was like a 1 or 2 sentence random line in there that had nothing to do with the rest of the bill. And it was repealing one of Donald Trump's executive orders that he had made like right before he left office. So they're repealing it for 90 days, they say, while they are doing an investigation into it and checking out whether such an executive order is needed. But the executive order that was repealed was one that basically Trump signed, and it said more or less that we cannot or will not use components, parts, whatever, made by foreign adversaries in any of our like power grid, any of our like base infrastructure stuff. And this came about because apparently there were some electrical transformers that were found on the electrical grid that had they had been made by China, and they actually had separate little like boxes in them that could turn on or off the power supply, and had like Wi-Fi connections or some crazy stuff that wasn't supposed to actually be in that equipment. It had nothing to do with that equipment, but it was, they found basically foreign spy electronics in the actual electrical grid. Russia has been supposedly in our electrical grid since the early 2000s. And so there was this executive order that Trump signed that said, okay, you know, all of the stuff for our base infrastructure, power grids, things like that needs to be made at home so that our foreign enemies can't tamper with it, basically. And Biden revoked that, which is kind of weird. Well, I mean, I guess it's weird depending on the way that you look at it. In a way, it's not weird considering that his family is probably compromised and is in bed with China. I mean, he flew his kid out on Air Force Two for a Chinese deal, and there was all the stuff with the Hunter Biden issues and Burisma and all of that. So I think it's probably safe to say that the Bidens are compromised. So it's not weird in that regard. You're like, oh, okay, so he's falling into lockstep. But it's weird if you are one of the people that for some reason doesn't believe any of the Hunter Biden stuff and thinks that Biden is completely squeaky clean and doesn't have any strange relationships with China. Anyways, John Thomas says, if the Fin bunch of idiots, I see what you did there, show up, I have nothing to say to you. I want a lawyer. Get a warrant. But I mean, the thing is they can do whatever they want. Robin says, woof, woof, love the bangs. Me, the dogs are indifferent. And let's see. David McCoyne is sending a super chat that's a link. Is that a link to the Times article by any chance? Because if it is, we talked about that last week. Yes, it is. Yes, so David posted the link again to the Time article that we talked about last week of the cabal and secret conspiracy to fortify the proper result of the election. We talked about that and went through that article for about half an hour here last week. And then I took that clip and posted it separately to YouTube. I keep meaning to post the audio up on Podbean for you guys as well. But, you know, the sad thing about that is there are some people in, well, it's not even the people. I have found that, and I mentioned this a little bit last time, now that I am doing this full time and I'm constantly reading the news and immersed in the news and immersed in politics and all of the rigmarole that goes along with it, I have very little patience or tolerance to discuss those things in my personal life. I frankly, outside of YouTube, want nothing to do with the news and politics because pretty much all of my free time all day, every day is spent just reading news articles and catching up on the news, and it's awful. But I had some people that roped me into a political conversation last week, and I brought up that Times article and the general consensus. And I mean, mind you, these are people that are not anywhere near my end of the political spectrum. The general consensus with them was that the words of cabal and conspiracy and shadow operatives and all of those words in that article were word choice. And in fact, there is no proof that any of that happened. There's no evidence of it, even though the article names people by name and talked about the amount of money that Zuckerberg donated to it and who was involved and what organizations they were a part of and had interviews and documents and all of that. They refused to read the article and said, well, it was just word choice and is fake news, basically. Which is really disappointing. Sometimes, you know, the internet is both a great and terrible thing. I feel like I don't know, the internet has done a lot of good, but it's also done some bad. Cancel culture was also a topic that came up in the conversation, and we have seen a lot of news about cancel culture this week. First, let me jump into these super chats here because I don't want to miss them as they're coming up. Draco9110 says, watched the trial and the Democrat argument is just, since we all agree my premise is correct, here is Trump's motives, I prescribed to him. So, Orange Man bad. Yeah, I haven't been keeping up with the impeachment trial, but I did see excuse me, I have the hiccups, a few news articles where Eric Swalwell used a photoshopped tweet and tried to use that as evidence, and it was proven to be a fake tweet that had been altered. And then someone tried to use evidence. They said that Trump accidentally called Senator Mike Lee when he was trying to talk to someone else and said all of these things that would have implicated himself in the riot and calls for violence and all of that. And it turns out that that phone call never happened. So that's also a thing. So they're using fake evidence and just making it up as they go along is my understanding of it. And it certainly doesn't help that, granted, everything with this was pretty rushed because Trump's first round of lawyers ditched him a week before the impeachment trial. But it doesn't help that these new lawyers, rushed or not, are putting all kinds of like grammatical and spelling errors in their briefs that they're filing. Like they've spelled United States incorrectly 3 times now, I believe. Oh man, it's not great. Squid Monkey says they are already going after people with clearances to make it more difficult to renew or be granted. It's a thing. A story was published previously. Really? Oh, I did not know that. I'll have to check that out. I know that Robin sent me an article earlier this week that talked about the how military was going to be cracking down on hate symbols, quote unquote hate symbols. And it was things like the 3% logo, Gadsden flag, the OK sign, all of these other things that can get you kicked out or will be banned now. And some of them were really, really ridiculous. Let me pull up the article with the list here that she sent me. Why does this keep... Come on. Well, that's interesting. I apparently can't access my text messages on that right now. Contact my administrator? Okay, there we go. That was really weird. That was really weird. So I use a Google Voice number for things related to Liberty Doll, so I don't have to give out my personal phone number. And it had this weird thing, and it was like telling me that my account no longer existed, but I pay for it. So that's really weird. All right, so this is an article that she sent me from American Military News. And the title of the article says, Army Special Ops Schools labels the Roman numeral 3 Oathkeeper QAnon logos as extremist symbols punishable if worn. So they're going to punish anyone through the John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School that has any of these logos or symbols or uses any of these things. And the full list is includes QAnon symbols, the number 3 symbol, Proud Boys symbols, Oath Keepers symbols, the Keck flag, Boogaloo symbols. I don't even know what Boogaloo symbols, like what that even like quantifies as. Like, okay, so what, a Hawaiian shirt? Like what? I don't understand. And then of course actual neo-Nazi stuff like swastikas and the SS lightning bolts, but also Celtic crosses, Odin symbols, the Nordic sun wheel, and I would be willing to bet that's because I believe Q Shaman has a tattoo of that. Different runes, also the nuclear symbol. Like, I don't understand. That's really weird. Like, I haven't heard of that being associated with anything, but okay. Triple parentheses, Pepe the Frog, the OK sign. Like, this is just bizarre. And she brought up like a really good point about like scuba divers, for example. They use the OK sign to say like, hey, everything's good, everything's all set. And so they're not going to be allowed to use that anymore. So they're going to have to figure something else out. Really weird. I don't know. There's just weird stuff going on. Robin says that hope that Biden comes for your guns in person. You could hand him a toaster and he wouldn't know the difference. And Jesse says, Wi-Fi is crap and keep losing connection. I'm going to sign off before I pull out my last 3 hairs. I'll catch the replay tomorrow. Nice seeing y'all. Keep being awesome, doll. Thank you. And Irish Lover says it was a stance down to extremism. And Stuart also says, yeah, but MS-13 gang signs are good. Yeah, I don't really get oh, the Celtic cross, like I don't get, and people are saying, well, yeah, like the thumbs up sign means to surface. So I don't know. And some of these things are like pagan symbols. Two-way metalhead says that pagans in the military might have grounds for a religious discrimination suit if those symbols are banned. I don't know. So, speaking of things being banned and cancel culture, like the big hullabaloo is around this week is around some woman whose name I don't even know how to pronounce, Gina Carano or something. She's a Star Wars person, particularly likes Star Wars. She was on The Mandalorian, so I don't really, I don't know much about her, really, but she has now been canceled and fired for being problematic. And supposedly the main issue was it wasn't even a tweet, it was a screenshot of someone else's Facebook post that she posted on her Instagram story or something like that. I'm going to see if I can find the original. Oh, this one's even got some other ones. Oh, this is great. Okay. Oh, we're going to dive into this one because this apparently has her other quote unquote problematic tweets. But what she did is the one that originally got her fired was a screenshot of a Facebook post that she put on her Instagram story. And it basically said that back in the day in Nazi Germany, it said that Nazis weren't beating people in the streets, which isn't true. Nazis were totally beating people in the streets. But she said that the beatings also, and they did indeed also come from people's neighbors, other people in their community. And the whole gist of the post was that the government has this really amazing and uncanny ability to demonize entire groups of people against other groups of people. And, she basically said that it's wrong to hate your neighbor based on religious or political affiliations. And she's not wrong. And people there's some weird mixed reactions to this. On the one hand, people are saying it's problematic because she was comparing her personal plight to the Jews of the Holocaust. Some people were saying the post was anti-Semitic because it mentioned the Holocaust. Still others are saying that it was a case of projection because only the right is capable of violence. All in all, what ended up happening was Fire Gina Carano, however you say her name, trended all over Twitter and ultimately got her fired. And people cheered for it, even though her firing completely proved her point. And some people were saying, well, she works for Disney, so she shouldn't be putting her personal opinions on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. And there is some validity to that. I mean, honestly, I think that a lot of the cancel culture problems that we see could be solved if celebrities just didn't get involved in politics. But we live in an age where people simultaneously expect all of their favorite celebrities, all of their favorite public figures, and all of their products and companies they use, right down to their damn razors, to take a political or social justice stance on something. They expect it. They expect that celebrities be involved in these social justice causes and these political causes, and they look to celebrities to endorse these ideas. Now, Hollywood is at this point majorly leftist, and In that regard, the left has won the culture war. They have taken control. They've got the reins. They are running away with the whole wagon. So on the one hand, people demand that celebrities, public figures, whoever, stand up and say their piece about whatever the cause du jour is, as long as it fits into ABC. But then when people stand up and they say something instead about XYZ, people flip out and say that celebrities shouldn't be talking about these things when they're representing whatever company or whatever brand or working on whatever movie. And that's so hypocritical because they want people to stand up for whatever thing and expect it and demand it of these people. But if they say it the wrong way or stand up for the wrong cause, well, they shouldn't be involved at all. So I say get all celebrities out of politics because their experience is so far from the common man anyways. And so now they're saying that it wasn't just this Instagram story, but that she has a long and troubled past of problematic social media behavior, and that this was just the straw that broke the camel's back. So MSN flat out calls it alt-right social media content. So they say actress and MMA fighter. Oh, I didn't even know she was MMA fighter. That's pretty cool. Gina Carano has established herself as a controversial figure on social media, sharing alt-right content and denouncing mask wearing. The Mandalorian star, who has faced backlash for recent tweets about reopening businesses amid the pandemic. Oh no! Is coming under fire again for a social media stunt that her critics are calling transphobic. Oh, this is from September. This isn't even... Okay, so this isn't even the one. This is some of her other problematic things. So apparently, back in September, when all people were putting their pronouns in their bios, she put beep, bop, boop. Which... I mean, do we even know that those were meant to be pronouns? Because, you know, my husband has a habit of posting sarcastic, like, NPC things and then finishing with beep, boop, beep. Like, oh, the TV tells me what to say. Beep, boop, beep. I mean, maybe this is her version of beep, boop, beep. I don't know. While some commenters jumped to the actress's defense, her critics argued that the move simply mocked trans people. And apparently the outrage around her started in August when Twitter users called the actress racist for sharing a photo from a Nazi rally in 1936. So she shared this photo highlighting the one person not giving the Nazi salute. And you see this used in memes a lot when it's like, hey, like, be the rebel, think for yourself, blah, blah, blah. So she posted this and it made her racist. Okay. I don't see how that's racist. Okay. And then she said that she shared the photo to draw attention to a heartbreaking and powerful story of a man who changed his ways for the woman he loved, as the photo showed a former Nazi who eventually married a Jewish woman, refusing to give the Sieg Heil salute. But some commenters felt that simply sharing an image also featuring hundreds of Nazis sent the wrong message. Oh my God. Ugh. So Twitter said that she had some explaining to do and literally could have picked a better picture to show whatever she wanted to show that didn't have Nazis on it. Okay. And then someone said, oh, they're not trolls. And she said, in my experience, screaming at someone that they are a racist when they are indeed not a racist in any post and or research you do will show you those exact facts, then I'm sorry, the people are not educators. They are cowards and bullies. Wow. Okay. So way back in August, on August 5th, there was a hashtag Gina Carano is over party. And this is another one of the so-called offensive tweets back from September. Open up your businesses and churches, put whatever regulations you want to, because that is your right, but open them up. You're telling me COVID-19 knows the difference between a protest or praise and worship? I haven't been to church in over a decade, but I sure would go now. The world is open, but no one is allowed to work. Working is a right you as an American have. It gives us purpose, focus, pride, and most importantly, a way to support the ones we love. People are dropping like flies from depression and suicide overdoses, murder. Enough already. Interestingly enough, this is stuff that actually Cuomo and Lori Lightfoot and even Gavin Newsom started to say after Biden got elected. And they said, oh, we need to open it up. We need to open everything up because the economy and depression and mental health and murders and suicides. But when she said it a month prior, it was racist, apparently, and was anti-protest and anti-BLM, even though she didn't mention BLM anywhere in here, but okay. Gee whiz. So this was apparently she has a long history of pissing people off. But yeah, she says the beep bop boop has zero to do with mocking trans people and 100% to do with exposing the bullying mentality of the mob that has taken over the voices of many genuine causes. I want people to know you can take hate with a smile, so boop you for misunderstanding. Hashtag all love, no hate. So then she posted that newest thing on her Instagram story, and now she has been fired by Disney and Lucasfilms. So some people are cheering, some people are canceling their Disney Plus subscriptions, but it turns out that now she's going to be working with Ben Shapiro because Ben Shapiro has started himself a little production company. And I actually watched the first movie that they put out called Run, Hide, Fight. I had very low expectations. It was actually pretty good. Maybe that's because I had low expectations, but I enjoyed it. And it had Thomas Jane in it. And I really enjoy Thomas Jane, especially after watching The Expanse, which is like my new favorite TV show right now. And I'm even reading the books and I love it. I loved Miller. Good character. Thomas Jane, he was also the Punisher. He's a Banff, basically. So extra kudos and respect points to him for being in a quote-unquote conservative movie put out by Ben Shapiro and the gang over at the Daily Wire. And before this news even came out, I was like, you know what? I bet she'll end up hopping on over there and getting into some of their movies or something. And that is exactly what has happened. Which, I don't know, it's pretty cool that there are some companies that are going to take disgraced conservative stars, I guess. Were her posts like cringy? Yeah, some of them probably were. And should she have expected to get canceled? In today's climate, yeah, probably. But it's so hypocritical because there was also a tweet that was going around from someone else that worked at Disney, some Disney executive or something, and he actually posted a picture of someone stuffing a person into, it was a cartoon of someone stuffing a person into a wood chipper and blood flying everywhere, and it said, MAGA kids belong in the wood chipper. And then there was the whole James Gunn incidents. There were multiple in which he made jokes about child exploitation and sexual acts involving children. There's at least a dozen tweets that he made about it, and he got rehired. The guy posting about MAGA kids deserving to die. I mean, he's still working for Disney. The left spent the entire 4 years between 2016 and 2020 saying that Trump is literally Hitler. But this lady says, hey, remember Nazi Germany? We probably shouldn't hate people based on things like, religious or political affiliations because it can lead to some bad stuff. And historically, that has happened. And she gets canceled for being anti-Semitic and projecting her views onto the Holocaust. Okay. Anyways. So apparently she is partnering the Daily Wire to produce and star in an upcoming film that is exclusively for Daily Wire members. They announced the new partnership on Friday, 2 days after the actress was ousted from her role in the Disney Star Wars spin-off show The Mandalorian. Disney cut the actress on Wednesday in what critics alleged was a politically motivated hit. She said, the Daily Wire is helping make one of my dreams to develop and produce my own film come true. I cried out and my prayer was answered. I'm sending out a direct message of hope to everyone living in fear of cancellation by the totalitarian mob. I have only just begun using my voice, which is now freer than ever before, and I hope it inspires others to do the same. They can't cancel us if we don't let them. And then there is, the little coupon code that's like at the end of every Ben Shapiro thing ever. Other people that are threatening to get canceled, Joss Whedon. He had some things come up against him before. Nothing like sexual or anything like that, but there have been claims now of him generally being a dick. Which, I don't know, I kind of would expect from any sort of big Hollywood director. But apparently Joss Whedon is getting pretty close to being canceled because Buffy stars are speaking out about surviving Joss Whedon's toxic abuse. He did the Avengers movies, and there was, I don't know, stuff that came up around that of him being a jerk and making some dick moves on that too. But now someone else is accusing him again. Charisma Carpenter, she played Cordelia on Buffy and Angel, is coming out and saying that he was abusive. She's 50, and she was like, let's see, Buffy was in the 90s, so that's 30 years ago, and now all of a sudden she's coming out on social media to talk about his toxic and hostile behavior towards her and others. So apparently she wrote a whole essay about it on social media, saying that he abused his power on numerous occasions while working on the sets of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel. While he found his misconduct amusing, it only served to intensify my performance anxiety, disempower me, and alienate me from my peers. The disturbing incidents triggered a chronic physical condition from which I still suffer. A physical condition. Okay? It is with a beating, heavy heart that I say I coped in isolation and at times destructively. I don't understand how him being a dick could have triggered a physical condition, but okay. I could certainly see anxiety or something, but physical condition? All right. Sarah Michelle Gellar, 43, chimed in after Carpenter's post went viral, writing, well, I am proud to have my name associated with Buffy Summers. I don't want to be forever associated with the name Joss Whedon. I stand with all survivors of abuse and am proud of them for speaking out. Okay. So, allegedly, the main issue is that Joss Whedon called Charisma Carpenter fat when she was 4 months pregnant, and in a retaliatory move demanded at 1 a.m., a 1 a.m. call time from her, despite her being 6 months pregnant and her doctor's advice to shorten her work hours. She also claims she was involved in a closed-door meeting in which Whedon manipulatively weaponized my womanhood and faith against me and accused her of sabotaging the show. In another meeting, she alleges he interrogated her about a rosary tattoo, and throughout the workplace, she writes, he employed mean and biting behavior. Well, I mean, that's crappy. That's definitely crappy. But, like, if it was that bad, why not like leave and quit, break contract, whatever? Um, Again, like that's kind of stuff that I would expect from someone that thinks they're like a big hotshot director. Like I would expect them to kind of be an asshole. Like maybe that's just me. But okay. Um, Steve McQueen says an ulcer is physical. All right, so I mean, I guess it could have been an ulcer. And she said the post is captioned "My Truth" across platforms and hashtagged "I stand with Ray Fisher." Fisher, 33, worked with Whedon on 2017's Justice League film. Oh, that's right, it was Justice League, not Avengers. Oh, wait. I'm getting my comic book movies confused. Whatever. And last summer, the actor alleged on Twitter that Whedon's behavior on set was gross, abusive, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable. Co-star Jason Momoa, 41, who plays Aquaman, backed Fisher's claims as well. So Amber Benson, who was Tara on Buffy, also says that Buffy was a toxic environment and it starts at the top. There was a lot of damage done during that time, and many of us are still processing it 20 plus years later. Well, then why stay on the show? I mean, some of these people were on the show for like years and years and years. I mean, Buffy had 7 seasons. I believe, was it 7 or 8? I'm pretty sure it was 7. So, like, why stick around for 7 years if it was that bad? Meanwhile, Michelle Trachtenberg says, well, that's weird because here it says he was not appropriate when I was a teen on Buffy. Okay, so I guess there's an update and that now there is some other allegations. So she says that, again, he was toxic and abusive. The last comment I will make on this was there was a rule saying he's not allowed in a room alone with Michelle again. Okay. She didn't go into explicit detail about what led to the alleged rule or who put it in place. And that's it. All right. So that's ongoing. Marilyn Manson is in the middle of a cancellation battle as well. Evan Rachel Wood came out and made some allegations against him. That those have been going on for years. Like that's nothing new. She made those allegations starting years and years ago. And on that, I would say I definitely believe her. But at the same time, like Marilyn Manson's a creepy dude. I mean, just looking at him, you would kind of have to expect him to be into some really weird crap. And the allegations are basically that she was into, or that he was into some pretty weird crap. I don't know. So all these people getting canceled. I guess they're going after Chris Pratt again. And calling him like a racist white supremacist or something because he wore something with a Gadsden flag, and then he didn't go to some like Biden rally, and they're going after him. But I guess there's even a new round against him. But I don't know. It's like the left is like running out of people to try to oh, here we go. Apparently they were fake tweets. So apparently RIP Chris Pratt was trending for the wrong reasons, as the tweets in question are fake. The trend began on February 3rd as the hashtag took over timelines. Although the trend was seemingly everywhere, Twitter users were left confused for its cause. Chris Pratt hadn't died, and finding an explanation on the tag was few and far between. Instead, the RIP Chris Pratt tag was filled with people asking what happened with confusion. But the explanation is fake tweets from 2012 and 2013 that used a racial slur and racist comments against Muslim people. And then they also were asking questions about the church he went to and the church's views on the LGBT community. Like, really? And so this is apparently also a fake tweet, Miss Universe. In a way, they all look like Miss Hungry. Like, who cares? Who cares? This is getting so ridiculously out of control. All of this, and it's going to get to a point where the left just eats its own, and they're sort of starting to do that. And what's really disturbing to me is that some people say, like, I've heard some people say, like, oh, well, we need to have accountability, but we also need to believe that people can change and their opinions can change. Great, fine. But there are some people that say that cancel culture is needed because it holds people accountable for their actions. I don't think it really holds people accountable for anything. I think it just makes them afraid and makes them virtue signal, and it takes away from like genuine causes and puts like this bastardized fake version in its place. Like one of the other comparisons that was being made with the Gina Carano story was that Pedro Pascal had posted something a few years ago that compared the children in concentration camps to the children that were in the ICE detainment centers. Though the picture that he used was not from 2018 when the tweet was made, and it was a picture from outside of the United States. So it wasn't even a picture of the ICE facilities in the US. But everyone was like, oh, well, he's so great because, you know, his brother came out as a trans woman, and he's been supportive, and it's so stunning and brave and stunning and brave. But like, I mean, of course he's going to voice his support because it's going to give him brownie points. And I mean, I'm not saying that he wouldn't support his sibling either way, but like his sibling, like, I don't know if it's really that stunning and brave to come out as trans when you are already a celebrity, because then it gets you just more publicity and more magazine covers and things like that. And that's not the experience of the average person that goes through that. I don't know. I just find it very disingenuous, I guess. It's almost like it's a hip trend rather than having like valid emotion behind it. And I feel like it really cheapens things a lot. You know, because in my work, I have worked with people who were trans or, you know, LGBT or whatever. And, you know, their coming out story did not get them magazine covers and things like that. And like I said, it's easier to, I don't know. It feels cheap to me and like virtue signaling to me, some of this stuff. Anyways, I'm just sort of like rambling at this point. So I'm going to go into the super chats. I'm sorry. This all feels, the live stream feels very messy to me tonight, but let's see. Draco9110 says, I'm a third generation Swedish American. The Viking runes and Odin symbol is literally my culture, and banning it is definitely discrimination and bigoted. So I read an article about that when Q Shaman hit the news and everything. And there was a lot of articles that basically said, well, yeah, like we know that this is, you know, people's culture that are, you know, Nordic or Scandinavian, but it's been co-opted, so it needs to be banned. Basically, is the argument in all of those articles that I read about it. So everything is canceled. Everyone is canceled. Everything is canceled. Just cancel, 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 cancel. How about some, oh, we also had a, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was banned from Instagram and canceled off of Instagram for supposed COVID-19 misinformation. And oh, good. This is from the Wall Street Journal, and for some reason is not behind a paywall. So he's been canceled off of Instagram. They say that it's because he's a prominent vaccine skeptic, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and it's so far been one of the biggest steps that Instagram has taken to combat false and misleading information about COVID-19. They said on Wednesday that the company permanently removed his account for repeatedly sharing debunked claims about the coronavirus or vaccines. He had more than 800,000 followers on Instagram before the account was closed. They couldn't reach him for comment, and Facebook declined to say which specific post on Instagram prompted its move. Mr. Kennedy's Facebook page, which has more than 300,000 followers, and where he also posted criticism of vaccines, was still up as of Thursday. The spokeswoman said Facebook doesn't automatically disable accounts across its different apps when it takes enforcement actions. And while the theme of posts could be similar across platforms, the specific content that violates its policies might be different. The Twitter account is also still up. So right now it's only his Instagram that's gone, and they are not elaborating on what it was that he posted that got his account shut down. Also, Project Veritas has been booted off of Twitter. I'm not really even sure why at this point, but they're gone. Let's see. Let's see. Twitter bans the Project Veritas account. Let's go. Let's see what CNN has to say, because I'm sure that that gives the closest version as to what Twitter and the left is saying. So Twitter permanently banned an account on Thursday belonging to Project Veritas, a conservative group founded by controversial activist James O'Keefe. I would not call Project Veritas conservative. Libertarian, maybe. I wouldn't call them conservative, but okay. The decision followed what a Twitter spokesperson described to CNN Business as repeated violations of the platform's policies prohibiting sharing or threats of sharing other people's private information without consent. Interesting. Also, Twitter is declining to say, again, what specific tweets may have triggered the enforcement action. But in a post on Project Veritas's public Telegram channel Thursday afternoon, the group said the suspension occurred after it published a video in which Project Veritas accosted Facebook VP of Integrity at his home. Okay. The tweet in question arose when asking for a comment from Facebook's VP of Integrity about censorship. Project Veritas said on the Telegram channel, Project Veritas is appealing the decision as no privacy was violated. Twitter also confirmed that O'Keefe's personal account had been locked temporarily for violating the same policy, and that O'Keefe would be required to remove the violating content before regaining permission to tweet. In an emailed statement to CNN Business, O'Keefe again said that it was false that the video contained private info and claimed that Twitter told the group it could have its account reinstated if it deleted the tweet containing the video. In response to follow-up questions from CNN Business seeking clarification, Twitter said it had mistakenly communicated to Project Veritas that there would be a way to restore its account, and confirmed that the group's suspension was permanent and final. Wow. That is nuts. In other censorship news, I saw this after the stream last week, but the Time magazine article that we spoke about, apparently Tim Pool had made a tweet about it on Twitter using quotes, direct quotes from the article, and Twitter flagged it as being misinformation and a false claim about election fraud that had already been debunked. And he had Jack Posobiec on his channel, and I guess Jack Posobiec has some friends that are in the Birdwatch program. It's the beta fact-checking program for Twitter. And you can go into it and see that person after person after person said, well, actually, this tweet is not fake news. It's a direct quote from the article. And last time I looked, the tweet was still marked as fake news. So you can't like it, quote it, reshare it, anything like that, even though it was a direct quote from the Time magazine piece that we discussed last week. Man, oh man, oh man. Randy Man says they missed blurring a neighbor's address that was on a lamp post. It is getting, everything is getting so out of hand, and it's amazing how quickly things are spiraling out of control with cancel culture, with this like social justice stuff, booting people off of platforms. Speaking of platforms, I don't know if anyone is familiar with Friendster. I have no idea what it is, but I got an email asking if I wanted to be one of the beta testing groups for Friendster. I'm going to have to look into it more. Let's see. Mark M says, finally getting enough viewing and listening minutes into Ante Up. Really liking the Liberty Minute material. Thank you. And Liberty Minute will be back next week. Between my CWP class and everything that I had to do for the mortgage, and then having to move all my clients around, I just have not had time. I've been really trying to focus on getting out my video on HR 127, and I just haven't had time to do the Liberty Minute stuff this week, which I know is really disappointing because I know some of you really look forward to it. Princess Marlena says, Friendster, wasn't that an old social media site? I have no idea. It sounded really familiar with me. Okay, so James Kaysen said that he had it in 2003 before MySpace. So this is Friendster.io. So I don't know. They said that it was something new. I don't know anything. Let's see if I can find the email. Yeah, I'm not seeing it now, but I was like, oh yeah, I'll like look at it. I don't know. It's somewhere around. Well, so I'm going to look at the chat and some of the stuff in the chat for the last few minutes, because like I said, I did not have a lot of stuff prepared for today, and I've kind of run out, I guess. Oh yes, Utah. Actually, we can mention Utah real quick. Utah is going to become the 17th constitutional carry state this week. And here in South Carolina, there's actually a bill up for open carry. And some people are speculating that if they can get open carry passed, then we might be able to get to constitutional carry. I know that Nikki Haley had been in favor of constitutional carry when she was governor, but she went off and joined the Trump administration, so she's not in charge here anymore. But Utah will become the 17th constitutional carry state this week. This is from the Truth About Guns. After passing both the Utah House and Senate by overwhelming margins, a constitutional carry bill is set to be signed into law by Governor Spencer Cox this week. And here they have an excerpt from the Washington Free Beacon that says, Robert Leiter, a George Mason University professor who studies gun laws, said gun rights groups rebutted gun control advocates' arguments by emphasizing self-defense. Gun rights groups have been immensely successful at legalizing the carrying of firearms for self-defense, he said. Even many liberal states readily issue permits to carry firearms. The new law will go into effect on May 5th. It passed the Utah Senate by a 22-6 vote and the House by a 51-20 vote. Utah residents will still be able to obtain a concealed carry permit, which some other states require for non-residents within their borders. So that is very, very cool. I was actually considering, after I got my CWP for here, getting the non-resident Utah permit, but I guess with that you only get reciprocity with Delaware and Washington State, which are two places I never plan to go. So I might just keep my money and keep the just the South Carolina permit. But I love that there is reciprocity with so many states. Like, you know, you get Utah, Florida, and like South Carolina, and you basically have reciprocity with almost the whole country except for like Hawaii and New England, which is pretty cool. And I believe there's some pro-gun bills in like Montana that are doing really good. And this is pretty cool. There are some states that are moving to reclassify pot so that gun owners can carry legally, which is pretty cool. So this one state rep has multiple sclerosis and is registered in the state's medical cannabis program. I'm not sure. It doesn't say which state he's with, but he can't renew his permit to carry or legally use a firearm to hunt in Minnesota. Okay, Minnesota, because the state and the federal government still lists medical pot as a Schedule 1 drug. So he is proposing a bill that would make it to a Schedule 2 drug, which is legal with prescription, but yet allowing you to renew your permit to carry and hunt with a firearm if you so choose. But if Minnesota does it, it'll still contradict federal law. He says that we need to do this along with other states like Oklahoma to get the attention of Congress in Washington, D.C. It needs to change at the federal level and here so people can legally get their gun permits renewed and so they can hunt with family and friends and not be in violation of the law. No one in the medical cannabis program wants to be in violation of the law. So, I mean, that would be pretty cool if some states got on board with that. And, I mean, they're saying there's a rumor that it will be decriminalized federally, but that still doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be really funky to see how that goes with gun permitting laws. Let's see. Joey Day says the hardest partiers are Amish on Rumspringa. Is that like true? Is Rumspringa really a thing? I remember there was a movie about it, like one of those like buddy raunchy comedies about Rumspringa or something. Maxman says, what about a New Hampshire non-resident permit? Do they do those? I don't even know. I know that you can get Florida and Utah. I don't know about any other places. Squid Monkey says that that's not correct. The Utah concealed carry permit is accepted by a lot more than that. Well, so I know it's accepted by a lot of states. What I mean is South Carolina is accepted by a lot of states as well. And so if I got my Utah permit, the only additional states I would get are Washington State and Delaware. So it would be otherwise all of the states overlap with the reciprocity that South Carolina has. So it would be all however many states for South Carolina. And then if I got my Utah, then I would only get additionally Washington State and Delaware. So I would be going through all the hoops and the training, because you have to do training classes for that as well. And all of that just to get an additional 2 states that are places that I probably won't ever visit. So that's why I'm saying it might not be worth the cost just to be able to carry in 2 additional states. Is what I meant by that. All right, so it's 8:24. We are close enough to the 8:30 mark. I'm going to make sure that I didn't miss any super chats. And then we will wrap it. Let's see. Oh, Aaron Miller, thank you for the super chat. I did not mention that earlier. Let's see. It looks like I might have gotten them all. Yes, I did. Cool, cool. All right. Sorry if tonight's stream was not as exciting as usual. We'll be back to a more regular news heavy production next week. And I will have some more Liberty Minutes and things like that. We'll be back up to a more regular schedule. Hopefully all the rigmarole of bureaucracy will be done by then. As a fun fact, as a last aside, one of the other things that I was dealing with this week, I posted about it on Twitter. So, funny story, I got a excise tax bill from the state of Massachusetts this week, but I don't have a car registered in Massachusetts anymore. So I have to file for an abatement. To apply for an abatement, I have to give the state of Massachusetts a copy of my South Carolina registration and a receipt from the state of Massachusetts that I canceled my Massachusetts registration. So I went on the Massachusetts website, RMV website, to do that. It turns out that they suspended my registration for not having Massachusetts car insurance anymore and having South Carolina car insurance, because South Carolina requires you to have South Carolina car insurance. So I was like, all right. So they said that I have to pay a $50 reinstatement fee to first reinstate my registration so that I can cancel my registration. Now, if you don't do this stuff in the state of Massachusetts, they put out a warrant for your arrest. I don't know if that would travel across state lines. Like, I don't know how that could impact me in the future. So I'm like, fine, I'll pay the stupid $50 fine to reinstate my registration so I can cancel my registration so I don't have to pay my excise tax. So then I go to pay for the fee, and now they say that I can't pay my fee because I don't have Massachusetts car insurance. And I have to have Massachusetts car insurance on file and have a policy out of Massachusetts so I can pay the $50 reinstatement fee so I can then cancel my registration so that I can then null out my excise tax. But because they suspended my registration and sent me a letter warning me of my suspension after the suspension has already taken place, I don't have access to the part of the website where I could upload an insurance policy, and they wouldn't accept my policy anyways because it's from South Carolina and not Massachusetts. I am 99% confident that when I call the RMV next week, they're not going to be able to help me, and they're just going to put me in an endless feedback loop. But that's a thing that is happening. Robin says that a warrant could keep me from buying a gun. Okay. That's good to know. That is very good to know. So, yeah, I don't want that to happen. So I guess I'm going to have to try to remedy that somehow, but I'm not looking forward to it at all. One Tulip, thank you for the super chat. And Squid Monkey says, folks, if you are looking at CCW permits, please consult uscca.com for a map and a description of what is done where. They keep it up to date. Yes, they do. USCCA is also linked in my description. So if you want to check them out and get a membership with them and help the channel, you can click that link and check it out. They also have an app that you can download that gives you all the pertinent gun laws per state, which is pretty cool. And it tells you all the different carry laws and things like that in each state. So very cool stuff. All right, guys, we are going to wrap it. I did not hydrate at all, so I'm going to chug a whole bunch of water and then hop over to my D&D call. So everyone, thanks for tuning in and putting up with the disorganization today and all of that. We will have the usual live stream on Tuesday, and then Friday, if all goes well, I will be a homeowner. And we will be live streaming as well. So thanks for tuning in. Regular videos will be back up and running soon. And I will catch you on the next one. Have a nice night, everyone. Bye.